But because it's Saturday, let's play through the Streamers Community Day long. 12 boards, declare play only, auctions given to us. We'll take a look. We're going to do some USBC previews at the end of this, so stay tuned for that for sure. Pass, and no trump. We got 16. This is a really good hand. Stamen, partner invites, we of course accept. Looks pretty reasonable. Partner has an 8 count.
Wally waves.
Hey Koopa. Thanks so much for the 16 months. Really appreciate all the support. Welcome back to the lounge. We get a spade lead. So we got quite a few diamond losers. Obviously, if the opponents figure out to switch to diamonds, we're in trouble. We have 4 hearts, 2 spades, and 2 clubs, gets us up to 8 tricks in total. If diamonds are 5-2 and we duck a club, we might go down 2, so while it's not the most insane thing to do to cash out, I still think it's highly anti-percentage. There's got to be some chance that the opponents make an error on defense. And I think the best way to try and cause a potential error is to win the king of spades and immediately play a club to the 10 or maybe the 8 in our hand. Hey Matt, does the current amount raised include a tier list? I mean, I'm not going to do a tier list. I'm going to give predictions at the end of stream today because we have a full bracket. So I'm going to talk through everything. Well, not at the end of stream, in the middle of stream, between this and when we fire up some more blueprints afterwards. Bracket even better? Yeah, that's the plan. We have all the seeds and everything. It's a 16-team bracket for the Open. Probably not going to do any sort of analysis for the women's, mixed, and seniors, but maybe we'll take a quick look. I mean, the most sensible thing to do is probably just to win and play a club to the 10. Percentage-wise in the suit, I think. I mean, we could work through the math. It's got to be close, whether you go ace-king in another club or whether you play a club to the 10, I think. Club to the 8, followed by club to the 10. If the 9 happens to be onside, I think is anti-percentage by a considerable margin. So that, I don't believe, is the right plan. Probably worse than either of the other two. But the reason I like club to the 10 is that it gives away a lot less about our hand. If we go ace-king in another club, even if it might be technically superior from a mathematical perspective, like we pick off a jack-9 or queen-9 doubleton in West's hand, it might be easier for them to find a diamond switch. So, alright, club to the 10. Long think, West wins the jack, switches to the queen of diamonds, plays back the queen of clubs. I guess we test the club suit. Well, so I mean, at imps this is a very easy problem. We just play another club and hope they forget to cash diamonds. I mean, maybe. At match points, it's definitely less clear. Because if they do work to cash out diamonds, then we just end up going down extra. West switched to the queen of diamonds, which held. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that West isn't just going to win the club and play another diamond. I think in real life, against anything other than just complete novice opponents, I would probably just cash out here. Alright, I'm just gonna cash out. 5 tricks. We'll never know what would have happened if I played another club. West had Queen, Jack, Doubleton of Diamonds, switches to the Queen of Diamonds, and then doesn't continue the suit. So they could have beat us too if it had gone Queen of Diamonds, encourage, Jack of Diamonds. They take 5 diamonds in the club. Maybe we did the right thing. We'll never know. Minus 50. We get to 6 hearts. Holy... Wow, and we get the Ace of Diamonds lead? Well, is this going to go Ace of Diamonds, Diamond Rough? So 4 spades, pass, pass. Our partner balances 5 clubs. I don't understand the 6 heart bid at all. This doesn't make any sense. I mean, partner's balancing, so, like, whatever this, like, strong rebiddable club's 20 plus total points, I think that's bogus. Sure, partner's vulnerable against not. They wouldn't necessarily just balance if they thought they were going for 500, because that would be worse than 420 at match points. If you saw this, you'd refer it to Edgar. I mean, we're probably not making it. Now, were we making 5 clubs? Probably not either. Diamond, diamond, diamond rough, we might still lose a club trick, so... But yeah, 6 hearts is crazy. I mean, we catch partner with the World's Fair over here, and we're probably suffering a diamond rough at trick 2. As expected. Down 1. Looks like I was right on all counts that 5 clubs was also going down, probably even 2 tricks. Diamond, diamond, diamond rough, and then we lose the club queen. Well, minus 100, we did better than playing in 5 clubs, I suppose. Good bid by us. If only there was a way to get to 5 hearts. I mean, not realistic. Board 3. We open a spade, we're 5-5, 13 count, stiff king. A no trump, 2 diamonds, we bid 2 hearts, looks good so far. Diamond lead. Oh man. The robots really need to learn their lesson. Don't overcall on hands like this. We don't even know what East Sand is, but I already know. Don't overcall on hands like it. Alright, diamond to the ace and king. Club return to the king. Interesting. Jack of clubs. We'll play low. No blood against 2 diamonds? I mean, we can't really afford to do so. We have a singleton diamond. We're 5-5. You know, we never expect the opponents to overcall on hands like this. And sometimes they just get lucky. Alright, club to the ace. So East has probably only got 5 diamonds. They switched to a low club away from the ace. What a play. I guess there's probably not much we can do if spades are 4-2. So I think I want to pull 2 rounds of trumps. I want to go ace of hearts, heart to the king, spade to the queen. I guess I don't need to go ace of hearts, heart to the king. I can just go heart to the king, spade to the queen. And then cash the heart ace. And then go ace of spade, spade rough. Sure. Like, just in case the king of spades is offside. Heart, jack, king, 8. Spade, king, ace, 7. I mean, East could be... That could be a true card, so East could definitely be 1-4-5-3. Oh, if that's the case, what's our plan? Because if that's what's going on, and I play the Queen of Spades and East ruffs, they're down to just red cards. But they could just return a trump. We take the hook and pull their last trump, but then we're going to lose all 3 spades at the end of play. Because we'll exit the 9 of spades, but West will win the 10 and then force us in clubs, and then we have to lead away from the 8-4 of spades at the end of the hand. Did West make an error when they played a spade? Oh, kind of, but not quite enough. The 7 of spades. I guess they just have Jack 10, 7, 6, 5, so it doesn't matter. Can I do better if this is actually the layout? Like, what if I exit the 9 of spades now? West is in, so they'll win the 10. I mean, like, if East ruffs and then exits a trump, at least we score the Queen of Spades at the end of play. Oh, wait! We might be able to do better. Oh, now I wish I was remembering the heart spots. I had the ace 10, 7, 4, 3. Dummy had king 5 deuce. Did East play the 4 of hearts? Our 7 of hearts might be low. If I could duck the 4th round of hearts to East, East will be unplayed into leading diamonds into the queen 10. Ooh, wait a second. I mean, now, this might not be what's going on. I could play the Queen of Spades and hope spades are 4-2. In which case, I could go Queen of Spades, spade, ruff. East will over ruff, but it might be with a natural trump trick. That's got to be more likely a priori. I think it would be a lot cooler if spades are 5-1, though. So I'm very tempted to try one of these plans to throw East in somehow. If only I'd planned ahead and saved the 4 or 3 of hearts in hand. I could pull 2 rounds of trumps and then exit to East with the 4th round of trumps, who will have to lead into the Queen 10 of diamonds. That would be sweet. Did I work out what happens if I exit the 9 of spades? Man, this is a complicated double dummy problem. So, again, assuming East is 1, 4, 5, 3 in shape, I exit the 9 of spades, West wins the 10. West, if they play back a diamond, that gives us the diamond queen, which is currently stranded. If they play back a spade, I can discard from dummy. East will ruff my 4 of spades. And now East is down to just red cards and East is unplayed. So they could exit a trump, I take the hook, I pull the last trump, eventually I lose the 8 of spades as well to West. I mean, it's going to look real bad if East popped up with the king from King Doubleton of spades. I exit the 9 of spades. I might lose that trick anyway, though, later in the play. Yeah, maybe it's not actually so bad. I guess it's bad if he started with, like, King Jack or King 10 Doubleton in the spade suit. Because then I could go Queen of Spades and take a roughing finesse. King feels like a pretty unnatural human play from East side. But for the robots, I think they might do it. I don't know. I think I'm tempted to try this 9 of spades plan, figuring the King of Spades was a true card. Well, at least they were 4-1 in this fashion. Yeah, so let me think this one through. If I If spades are 3-3, it doesn't matter what I do. I could just pull the last trump. Why did West hop up with the Jack of Hearts? I just realized West played the Jack of Hearts on the first round of the suit, and they didn't have a singleton. What? I'm sorry, what? I am so confused. So if spades are 3-3, I could pull last trump, go queen of spades, everything runs. I could also ruff a spade and then ruff a diamond and then pull the last trump. I suppose protects against 4-2 spades if like West popped up with the jack from jack third. I'm so lost as to what's going on in the hand. I think East is over ruffing when I ruff a spade and dummy, but I guess it doesn't hurt. What? 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 This was one of the strangest defenses I have ever seen. Okay, they lead the 7 of diamonds to the ace. Club to the king. I mean, this is like a really strong play. Low club to the king to try and take 3 club tricks. Jack of clubs. Club. Ruffed. Heart. Jack. Why? I don't know. Heart to the jack and king. Spade. East pops up with the king. See, this is just like a very unnatural play. Sometimes it's a good idea to play like king or queen from king or queen doubleton in certain spots. But without seeing Declare's hand, this is a really weird thing for a human to do. Because when you play low, let's say Declare had ace queen jack fifth, Declare wouldn't know that your king was dropping on the second round, so they might squander an entry to try and get back over there to take another finesse. And that could be good for you. So that's why this is kind of a very weird play. Like, from a pure double dummy perspective, I kind of understand the robots doing this, but that's why, like, I was more tempted to play for spades 5-1. But spade to the king and ace. I exited the 9 of spades, so West wins the 10 and plays back a trump to try and, you know, cut down ruffs. I mean, it's not that unreasonable to do so. They know a ruff sluff in clubs is probably not good. They know playing back a diamond, giving me access to the diamond queen's not good. So playing a spade, I mean, like, their partner can over-ruff, but it's kind of compromising their jack of spades trick. So this all makes sense. And then I just ruffed a spade and East forgot to over-ruff. They didn't know that we had 5 hearts. So if they thought their partner had another trump, I do wonder what... Oh, they were getting end-played. If they over-ruff, they're end-played in diamonds. Of course. This actually makes sense. Now, they've seen us turn up with exactly 1 diamond and exactly 2 clubs, so East should have a full count on the hand already. I mean, maybe we're 6-4, but we're probably 5-5. So I think East should discount the possibility that their partner has another trump. But if they had over-ruffed, for example, and their partner still had a high trump, say the 10 of hearts, and we had the 7, they would have played back a diamond, but then we would have just started pitching losers by playing all of our diamonds. And their partner effectively would be forced to trump in with their winning trump as we discard losing spades, for example. Something like this. Queen of diamonds, whatever, we pitch like another spade loser or something, and their partner might have to trump. I mean, it's not exactly that simple, because West could still discard again, but then we get to cash 2 diamond tricks. So that's what East was hoping for, was that they didn't get end played. So they gave up a trick by not ruffing here. This is miraculous. I don't understand what happened at all, but I guess in hindsight, some of the plays made some sense. It's still mind-boggling to me. Alright, board 4. Where were we? A heart passed 2 hearts. We bid 2 spades with this? No. 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 We're just trying to go for like 300 the hard way. Wow. Okay. A heart, 2 hearts, 2 spades, partner raises. Let's see what trouble we got ourselves into. How does this not constitute a limit raise? I mean, I would probably just bid 4 spades with this hand, but 3 hearts at least? Yeah, tell partner you have a big hand. Okay, king of clubs. Looks like we've landed exactly where we're supposed to. Ace of clubs. And a club. Oh. Well, it seems we're not making this one. I mean, I can just claim down 1. I'm pretty sure I can claim down 1. Diamonds are not 7-0. Spade to the ace. Cash a heart. Play another heart or something. Down 1. Man, they even figured out to give their partner club rough without signaling. I wonder... I guess I don't wonder why. The robots play imps all the time. Regardless of form of scoring, the robots only understand how to play imps because it's just effectively impossible to program a robot to play match points. So they figured their best chance to beat the contract was if their partner got a club rough, which they were correct about. Board 5. Pass, pass. We open a spade. Finally! We did something reasonable. We have a 14 count, lots of queens, 6-card spade suit, 2 heart overcall, could be anything, 2 spades by partner, all pass. King of hearts lead. Ace of hearts. And a heart. Hopefully that was a natural. 9 of diamonds switch. Okay, I don't think there's any way to actually get rid of a diamond loser. Because we don't have an entry to the north hand since the clubs are blocked. And West is always going to cover the queen of clubs with the king. So I think what we should do is just go ace of diamonds, ace of spades, diamond. And then use the ace of clubs to pitch a club loser on the jack of diamonds. It's possible that East is leading away from the diamond king. So we could take 2 minor suit finesses and try and play for the over trick that way. But the problem is, if we play the queen of diamonds and West wins, and West switches to clubs and East has the king of clubs, then we're in bad shape. So I think we do go ace of diamonds, ace of spades, diamond. Oh, no! No! King of clubs, please be offside. No! No! Alright, good defense, guys. 110. Board 6. We open a heart. Flannery hand. Partner bids a no trump. We bid 2 diamonds. Oh yeah, because it's forcing. Partner bids 3 hearts, limit raise. We decide not to accept. I think at imps I would always accept with a singleton as long as my hand wasn't sub-minimum for my opening bid. Just because sometimes the singleton is always working. At match points, you should be more conservative and pass. King of clubs lead. So what have we got to work with? We have a club loser. King from ace king. West never took a call, and we know how much the robots like to bid. So that probably means a couple of things: that suits are more likely to split, and that the high card points are pretty evenly divided. Like, I would be very surprised if West had the ace of hearts. There's a couple ways to deal with our spade losers. We could try and ruff both of them in the north hand. Like, for example, we could go ruff this, ace king of spades, spade ruff, ruff another club, at some point maybe even cash the ace king of diamonds and then play a fourth spade towards the dummy. If West shows out, we're in pretty good shape, and if West follows, we have some work to do from there. We could even try and ruff all 4 clubs in our hand. Well, all 3 clubs in our hand with the 2, 3, and 6 of hearts. If we can do so, then we can safely ruff the 4th round of spades high and dummy. That's a pretty reasonable line of play. Alternatively, we could just try and split the diamond suit. If diamonds happen to be 3-3, and we can time the rest of the hand to pull trumps, like ruff this, heart to the queen. East will probably take the ace because they're looking at ace doubleton or ace third. Ruff the club return, ace king of spades, ruff a spade. Well, I don't know. We have to be a little bit careful on how we time things, but if we can ruff 1 spade and duck a diamond and then pull trumps, diamonds splitting 3-3, or potentially picking off, say, Jack 10 doubleton or something in East's hand, we could pick up the diamonds for 3 tricks to pitch our other spade loser. I think I like the prospect of ruffing 2 spades in the north hand. Half of the time, West is just going to show out on the 4th spade. Hopefully spades are 4-3 or 5-2. Or instead of 5-2. One of the opponents might have bid. I mean, West certainly would have bid if they had 5 spades. And if East has 5 spades, it's probably okay. We can overruff West. So how do I want to time it? Ruff the opening lead, ace king of spades, spade ruff, ace king of diamonds, club ruff, lead a spade, something like that. I have to decide if I want to try and ruff the 4th club low in my hand, but I guess let's start as suggested. Ace of spades, king of spades, West is high load. If we believe West's high-low in the spade suit, then West probably has the last spade. Let's cash a diamond, see if they give us another count signal. Diamonds might split. I mean, unfortunately, we've put ourselves in a position where I was fairly confident about my placement of the heart ace. What if I ruff a club low, play a diamond to the king, ruff a club high, and then ruff a spade with the heart queen? No, they might get a trump promotion. But I was thinking, if I ruff a spade with the heart queen... No, this is just a terrible line of play. Let's not do that. Four clubs would be really nice. Club ruff, diamond to the king, club ruff, spade ruff with the queen of hearts, and then we're in business. We just lose a diamond and a heart, make 10 tricks. Alternative is king of diamonds, ruff a club, lead a spade, presumably ruffing with the queen. I think that just gets really messy. How bad is it if I ruff a club, diamond to the king, ruff a club low, and West overruffs. I guess it's pretty bad. West overruffs, and then they go heart, heart, pulling all the trumps, and then that's all I get. I mean, with West having 4 spades, they're definitely more likely to be short in clubs, but they could be, 4-2, 3-4. That would be a pretty reasonable shape. Not make a takeout double over heart, though? I mean, West has turned up with ace-king of clubs, nothing in spades, East had the queen, probably not the heart ace. Maybe West just didn't have enough for a takeout double. I don't see anything that's like super safe. I think it's just, what do I want to try and go with? If I cash the diamond king, ruff a club, ruff a spade with the queen of hearts, let's say East overruffs. They cash a diamond, diamond split. They play another club. I guess I'm back in the same position, but at least I'll have ruffed my spade in dummy. And so then I'll be able to guess the club suit. As long as diamonds are 3-3, that actually seems like a pretty good line. Okay, let's try it. Oh. Okay. East just doesn't overruff. Well, that makes things easy, right? I don't think West can really have the heart ace because they would have acted over a heart. Yeah, so there's 2 options. We could play a heart to the king. If East has the ace of hearts, we can play a heart to the king right now and then just exit a diamond and we get 2 tricks. Or we could try and ruff the club. I'm really confused about where the ace of hearts is. Like, why? Lead the jack of clubs and discard the diamond? So that's really bad. Like, imagine East has ace 10 9 of hearts. We lead a club, and let's say West even wins. West will play back a diamond. East is going to ruff with the 9 or 10 of hearts. We're going to overruff, but then we're going to be end played in our own hand. I mean, I'm not saying it's silly. Like, we have 9 tricks because we have a natural trump trick. We're just trying to take 10. I don't think I can do anything if West has the heart ace unless I ruff a club with the 6 of hearts right now, and it works. Because if I play back a heart... What room is this? Where's the chess piece? You're confused? I know. Sometimes I play bridge instead of my main game, which is blueprints. But roughing a club only works if the opponents have lied about the diamond count, I think. I guess that's not true. West might have started with it, but West can't have started with ace doubleton of hearts. That's the thing that I'm getting caught on. Because if West started with ace doubleton of hearts, they would have made a takeout double. They would have the ace king of clubs, they would have 4 spades, they would have heart shortness, and they would have 11 high card points. I don't think roughing a club can ever be correct. So I guess we do play a heart to the king. I mean, I can ruff a club with the king of hearts. Sure. That would work. But that's the same effect as playing a heart to the king. I don't get it. This is just...
I'm so confused. I see. West didn't want to make a takeout double because they were 4-3-3. Okay, well, there's nothing I could do in the end position. That's all fine. I guess maybe I should be more careful about my phrasing, because there was definitely nothing I could do in the end position if this is West's shape. So I was trying to come up with ways where roughing a club low would make sense. And it just did not exist. We're in 4 spades. I quoted Craig on a much earlier time than I'm going to be. I think I should pick up the pace a little bit, because Craig was going to join for USBC preview. Diamond opening lead. What was the auction? A spade, 3 spades, 4 spades? I mean, we have 18. Partner has a limit raise. If our ace of clubs is working, we might have a slam. So I think we probably should do a little bit more than just bid 4 spades. But we don't need to dwell on it. This looks like your classic, you need to get a few things done anyway. Sounds good. Well, yeah, it'll probably be another like 15 minutes or so. 20 minutes maybe. This one, we're just going to pull some trumps and run the jack of hearts. So we should be able to pull 3 trumps, unblock the club ace, diamond to the ace, rough a club, cash 2 diamonds, pitching heart, and then run the jack of hearts into east, who's then played, so we can actually claim 12 tricks. Easy enough. Pass, 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 and no trump. We got 16. 2-no transfer to clubs. Partner bids 3-no, which is a slam try. We should definitely accept. Although the robots don't really treat... Oh, partner's a passed hand. Yeah, actually, this is a really weird auction, isn't it? I think the auction should have just gone 1-no, 3-no. Yeah, I don't really understand partner's auction here, as I usually don't. Spade to the king holds. This is another one of these hands where, like, at match points, I think the right play is probably to just play a heart to the queen at trick 2. It's generally the case when dummy has a long suit and declarer doesn't play on it and no trump that it's because declarer already has the suit set up, which is true here. But we might have a holding that's like queen double ten of clubs, for example, and like ace queen jack 4th of hearts, and West doesn't know. So heart to the queen might just look like a pretty natural way to play the hand at trick 2. And especially against opponents who aren't carding or aren't necessarily like great at carding, they might not have the spot cards to be able to tell what's going on in the spade suit. Like, we play a heart to the queen, West wins, and West is not looking at the ace-queen of spades. East has the queen. West might not continue spades for fear of getting a spade trick into our queen doubleton, for example. I don't think the robots would get this defense wrong because, again, kind of as mentioned, they play imps, regardless of form of scoring. So West's best chance to beat the contract has to be that spades is going to score tricks, right? So they're just going to play another spade to their partner's queen, and a spade will come back. Now, the suit might block, in which case it doesn't really cost us. I mean, obviously we can cash out 6 clubs, the ace-king of diamonds, and the ace of hearts, but our whole plan is, because it's match points, we want to take the heart finesse as safely as possible, if we can manage to do so. If I run 6 rounds of clubs, it's possible that West could get squeezed. I mean, this would again be like a much stronger double dummy play than single dummy, as opposed to playing a heart to the queen immediately. But it gives away so much information. The opponents are never going to get the defense wrong at that point, so we would have to decide on our own if the heart finesse is worth taking. I think we just play heart to the queen at trick 2. Long tank from east, 8. Long tank from east, 8. Nice long tank, buddy. Let's run the club suit now. Oh. So East started with 6 hearts, but they also have a spade suit. That's the reason they didn't preempt. I see. Okay. East pitches a diamond, which doesn't make a ton of sense. Now it's starting to sound like East is 6-5. Because if East has 4, I guess East could be 3-6-4-0. I guess East is 3-6-4-0. Although the spade pitch is a little bit weird. Oh, well, looks like we did it. I'm going to claim, or are they going to accept? Okay. It looks like, yeah, now they'll accept, because now the diamonds actually do run. Yeah, 4-6-3-0, so East had already made a mistake when they pitched a diamond early. I don't understand that diamond discard early. That is such a weird play. Huh. Well, 5-20, we'll take it. A club, a spade, 2 spades, all pass. Looks like a good auction. Nicely done, thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to the hand. Like, we didn't really do anything. There wasn't a squeeze and whatnot, but heart to the queen at trick 2, I think, is the main thing that I like to point out. You ran the clubs and were also surprised at the result. I know what you mean. So Jack of Diamonds lead to the king and ace. Heart return. Heart comes back. So how do I want to play the spade suit? Spade to the ace, spade to the queen? Or do I want to try a low spade towards the queen immediately? The club suit doesn't really offer us a lot of opportunity to try and play it for one loser. I mean, we could pick off a 10 doubleton in East's hand, but that's about it. There's no real way to end play the opponents. I mean, we could go king of hearts, diamond to the queen, heart pitch a club, diamond ruff, spade to the ace, spade ducking. And if someone has king doubleton of spades, then they get end played into giving us rough sluff. Although I guess that doesn't really help, right? Because we've already roughed a diamond. If they just play back a red suit, we have to rough with the spade queen. I suppose it works if there's like king jack doubleton of spades. Probably not good enough. I think I'm just gonna go spade to the ace, spade to the queen. Spade comes back. We'll win. And the opponents haven't seen us show out of either red suit, so if we lead a low club, East might make a mistake from king third. Hops up with the king. 5, king, 4, 2. Alright, a heart comes back. We do need to think at this point, because this easily could have been an error from East to play the king from king third in this spot. I mean, I'll pitch a club to start with, and we will go queen of diamonds, diamond ruff, and then we'll have a decision to make in the club suit. West turned up with 3 spades. They followed to 3 diamonds and 3 hearts. I guess it's pretty hard for West to have started with 4 clubs. I mean, it's definitely possible. They could be 3-4-4-2. They could be, I
3-3-5-2. Definitely possible. But it's got to be more likely that West has 3 clubs, and therefore that East kind of made the forced play from King 10 doubleton of clubs as possible. So I think we do just take the normal line of play. Let's play the Jack of clubs. Okay. Who has the 10? Oh, we could have picked it off. 3-4-4-2. That's too bad. At least we gave ourselves a chance. 1-10. Board 10. A spade, 3 diamonds, invitational, 4... Wait, what? Oh, hold on. Wait a second. What? All 4 diamonds says is that we're accepting an invite? I mean, could, instead of the bid that is supposedly showing support for partner, couldn't we just like bid 3-0 to show that hand? Couldn't we bid 4 clubs to show a side club suit? I don't know what happened in this auction. 4 spades from partner. Great, here we are. Jack of diamonds lead. Right. Well, let's win the ace and play a spade of some kind. I suppose I'll play West for the ace of hearts. Lead a heart up towards the king later. So ace of diamonds, 10 of spades, ace of diamonds, low spade. I guess the 10 of spades is worse if spades are 5-1 with East having a stiff honor. But it's the only way to pick off honor doubleton and West's hand. Why did we get the Jack of diamonds lead? Not again. Why do they just always have to lead dummy's suit? I guess I'll try the 10 of spades. 10 of spades covered by the queen. Yeah. I suppose low spade to the jack would have picked off king queen third or king queen doubleton a bit more efficiently. Now I could decide to duck, but yeah, maybe this was really bad. Maybe I should have just led a low spade to the jack, figuring this was the only holding I can realistically pick up. I mean, I was praying for, like honor doubleton, but that would give West a lot of hearts. Because now if I go ace of spades, heart, West can hop up with the ace, play back their second diamond, forcing me. Heart to the king, spade, East wins and plays another diamond. West gets a trump promotion. Which is, like, fine. That's might be the best we can do. It's also possible this is like queen doubleton and I'm just in huge trouble. Let's go ace of spades. Heart to the king. Alright, West hops up with the ace. Continues a diamond, as expected. Whoa! East doesn't even put up the king. Okay. Let's play another spade. Got it. I understand. I understand. Spades don't split? Yeah. Okay. Good enough. Down 1.
Not much to be done about that one. West has 3 natural trump tricks. Would 3 no trump have made? Not sure. 5 clubs, a spade, a diamond, a heart. We're getting close. Board 11. We open diamond, partner bids a no trump, 2 spade overcall, could be anything. 3 diamonds balanced by partner. Seems reasonable. I mean, partner could have thought about balancing double if they wanted to suggest a potential penalty. They do have an ace-king on the side, but they also have a pretty big diamond fit with the singleton spade. I think it's close. How do we feel about just trying to pull trumps? I could ruff a couple spades in the north hand, but then I have a lot of hearts to deal with. Maybe it's okay. Maybe I like ace of spades, spade ruff, heart to the queen, spade ruff, diamond. The 7 of spades is a bit suspicious. It looks like spades might even be 7-2. I guess it would be okay if West roughs in on the second spade. I can pitch a heart loser. I'm just like very tempted to try and play diamonds. I guess I would exit a low diamond out of hand. East is much more likely to have a stiff ace or king than a stiff 10. Low diamond, heart comes back to the queen. Queen of diamonds. They play another heart. We pull the last trump. I guess we have some issues in the club suit, but I mean, if everything goes well, we could even then go ace-king of clubs, run the jack or something. Ruff a spade back, pitch our heart loser. We might make 5 that way. I think the line of play that I'm taking is planning to make 4. We'll lose a heart and 2 diamonds, or possibly 2 diamonds and a spade getting ruffed. A lot of stuff can go wrong, though. Like, I lead a low diamond, they win the 10, and then diamonds split 3-1. I think it's really close. I think the field is going to take this spade ruff, heart to the queen, spade ruff plan. I'm going to try this low diamond plan. I mean, there's a lot of contingencies we'll have to work with, but this looks like a pretty good, or pretty strong line of play to me. All right, diamond to the 10. Did West have ace-king third? Oh, that's not good. That's not what we wanted to see. Yeah, and now they play another spade. And now we're kind of dead. Well, spades were 7-2, so I guess the plan at this point is... Let me think about this for a second. Let's play heart to the queen and run the red suit winners. We have a decision to make after that. But East, presumably, I have not been paying attention to East discards, but East should be getting squeezed, is what's going on here. And then we just have to decide the ending, what to do. I think I did see East pitch a heart. though, at some point. So if East has the guarded club queen, I could cash a diamond, cash the ace of hearts, and throw them in spades. Or I could just decide to play a club to the jack. What is East turned up with? They've turned up with king, queen, seventh of spades, nothing in diamonds, the king of hearts. Yeah, they have to have the club queen, but it might not be guarded. We could just go ace, king of clubs and hope that it falls. Okay, looks like it's falling. Really? East didn't have it? No way! No way! What was this auction? East overcalled 2 spades, not 3 spades? Or 4 spades, even? Whoa! What an overcall. 110. So that's going to be a pretty poor result because the field is going to make 10 tricks. They'll ruff a spade, heart to the queen, lead a spade, and West can ruff, but then they can pitch a heart loser, and eventually ruff a heart. Oh well. Board 12, last one. Pass, pass, pass. We open a heart in 4th seat. I think this is a good bid. We could open 3 hearts, but I think that doesn't really get the hand across to our partner. Our hand has so much playing strength. I mean, we could open 4 hearts in 4th seat. I guess that's probably a fine bid. This doesn't exactly look like the type of hand that we want to play in 3 no trump at match points. Partner puts us in 4 hearts anyway after we make a game try. Heart opening lead. If the spades block themselves, and whoever gets blocked in the spade suit has the club ace, we might be able to get rid of our spade loser. So we can pull a trump, unblock the king, queen of diamonds, pull second trump, ace of diamonds, pitch a spade, and exit a spade. I guess I can play ace of diamonds, pitch a club too. It wouldn't really matter. It might just look a bit more threatening for them to continue spades. They might accidentally switch to clubs and give me a trick. The thing I don't like about it is I want to lead spades towards my hand. Like, if I can play a spade to the 10 and West has like ace-queen doubleton, they probably won't win the ace. They'll win the queen and then get end played. But I don't really see how to do that. I mean, I could ruff a club, but I also don't want to give away that I'm avoiding clubs. So the technical play is to pull a second trump, king, queen of diamonds, ruff a club, ace of diamonds, pitch whatever, and then exit a spade. But I think I like concealing information a bit more. King of diamonds, queen of diamonds. We will overtake the heart, pitch a club, and I'll try exiting the 10 of spades and see what happens. West wins the jack, leads the jack of clubs. Well, I guess if the ace of clubs is offside, there's nothing we can do. Okay, they get 2 more tricks. 620. Spades were 3-3 anyway. So aside from board 11, I think we had an okay set. Board 9, we put ourselves in a position to score 140, but the rest of the set I think was pretty flat. I mean, board 1, I guess anything could happen. It's very possible that people try and make it and end up making it. 69. Board 5 was apparently bad. Huh. I wonder why.
Oh, maybe people did just take the diamond finesse? I think it's a pretty poor play. I mean, West has overcalled. West is more likely to have missing honors. Like, West could have both kings. But anyway, we talked about that one. 3 diamonds, only making 9 tricks was pretty bad. Last board, someone found a way to make an over trick. Looks like. But the rest of the set was okay. Not much to most of the hands. Alright, I am going to pull up the USBCs. So let's get rid of this for a second. Maybe I will move this around somewhere. I mean, I guess I'll leave it here for now. Until we... Let's see, where was the one... Bracket pictures? Is this the thing that I was looking at? Yes. Okay, hold on. We'll make this a bit bigger. Also, we need to go back and forth because we have... Where are the teams? I was looking at, yeah, buys and seating. This is the other one. Did you want to join, Craig? This spreadsheet has tabs for something. There was a spreadsheet. Yeah, I think this is the one I was looking at. I wish there was an in-between for one of these. I guess we'll go with this. You're on Discord? Let's do it? Okay, one sec. Let me join Discord. So 16 teams in the open. I guess we'll go match by match, is probably the plan. Hello.
So, nicer down to sort it alphabetically instead of by seed.
I know. Fortunately, the bracket itself has the seeds in. So round of 16, this is double elimination. There's this giant USA 2 bracket down here at the bottom of the thing. But Nickel against Baseggio. I guess we'll start off there.
Yeah, hang on one second, because I have the seating points up. I didn't see the bracket.
It is a link called Bracket Pictures Open at the very top of the USBCs page.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so Nickel, the 1 seed, they won a tiebreaker against Fleischer for the 1 seed, and they're playing up against Baseggio in the first round. I don't think it's going to be a very close match.
And nor I. So, do we know what the tiebreaker was? Is it like it can't be results in the last cycle, right? Because I feel like Fleischer has been a little more successful.
No, I mean, my guess, based on their actual seeding points, the total seeding points, is that that's what's being used for the tiebreaker, and Nickel has more. In which case, like, why wouldn't you just call it, like, actual seeding points rather than a cutoff at 90? But,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true. So Fleischer, though, yeah. So I think you might only need to have 4 people in the because like you get seeding points. I thought based on finishes in Spingles and Vanderbilts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that you only needed 4 people in common between those events, but I could be wrong. Yeah, with the Baseggio team, it's not a bad team, but yeah, as you say, I think they're going to need an awful lot of luck to win a long match against a team like Nickel.
Yeah, I was kind of mulling over yesterday when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about for the preview here. Um, so there was a moment in time where Franco Baseggio and Andy Stark were a solid partnership for like one of these big events. Um, I mean, probably back in the day when they won the Platinum Pairs, they were a very strong
I mean, that's
partnership.
15 years ago now.
Yeah, like 15 years ago, right. And I think since then, they both have just kind of committed to other things in life. Like Franco is now part of the Edgar Association and combating cheating in online bridge and whatnot. And Andy has a family. I think Andy has a family that he spends a lot of time with. Um,
When he goes to the Nationals, it'll be for one event. He has 3 kids. They like to have a lot of family vacations rather than solo bridge vacations.
right.
I think, as you know, and as the kibitzers may, Andy and Franco are 2 of my really, really close friends in New York. So, I know a lot about both them and their bridge. I don't really know, as you say, like that was a pair that had a buzz for a while and now very much doesn't. And I don't know whether it's that they were never quite as good as their reputation and kind of lucked into one big event, or as you say, that focusing on things other than bridge is bad for the game. Probably a combination. I play a lot of board with Franco, and he doesn't sit in his chair, and he'd be a better player if he did.
You don't need to sugarcoat it. Yeah, that's one of the things that I think really is going to hurt their chances, is that Franco really likes to... He has this very strong belief that preempts are just good. That, like, every time that you can preempt, it is the right thing to do, and preempts make it really hard. And I wonder if that comes from personal experience, where he has a hard time dealing with opponents' preempts, or if he just, some sort of bias in his selection of which hands preempts work on, where he'll notice the times where it works out really well, and he'll just forget about the times that it goes poorly. But there are a lot of times, I mean, I know that you were talking about one of the deals in the Serious Bridge channel, where he had effectively made a preempt, basically. And it's like every once in a while his preempts will win 3 imps, but a lot of the time he's just going to be going for 800 against air, and that really adds up quickly to a lot of imps.
Yeah, and a little weird, right? Because he's very good at those kind of calculations. Like, he's, legit a math genius. And he's also a very strong technical player, so he doesn't really need to do things like that. Obviously, like, he thinks it's right because he does it so often, but I'm surprised he's never taken a step back and, like, realized that, as you say, the risk-reward is pretty poor.
Right. I think it's just people have blind spots for different things, and I know it's been pointed out to him before, but this is a pretty big one in these big team events. Like in a match point field, it's just one board, and sure, that does add up over the course of a 78 board event or whatever it is, but it's still just one board, or 1 or 2 or 3 boards, and you can make that back by good technical play in the other hands. Here, if you lose 14 imps against a part score, and you do that twice in the match, you're just not going to come back against a team that's as good as Nickel.
Right.
So...
Yeah, I think, like, everyone on the Baseggio team is a good player, possibly, but a couple of great players, like Jengu is a really strong player, Walter Lee is a very good player, Josh Jarrett doesn't play that much, but he's very sound and very capable. It's just, you're playing Nickel the first round, and none of these guys are Nickel.
Yeah. I think that is basically what it comes down to, as you've mentioned, like, and I think one of the things that a lot of people, like, criticize me for on my commentary is they're just like, well, you say that all these people are bad at bridge and they're, like, really good, they're playing in the USBCs. I'm like, I'm trying to talk based on the field. Like, if we were talking about a 2-day pair game at a national event, I would be like, sure, any of these guys could win on the Baseggio team.
Yeah,
but when
guys are all legit top seeds in that field.
Yeah, exactly. But when it comes to this sort of level of competition, like, this is the 16 seed for a reason. They're just not nearly as strong as the other, as the top seeds at all. And so, yeah, I mean, as you say, there's no sponsor on this team. So,
that I think they have that going for them. But even against Nickel and Katz, I don't expect any of these partnerships, Aitai Lo and Zhang Gu playing together, Walter Lee and Josh Scher, Viseggio and Stark, to actually put together a plus imp card. And that's going to make it really tough when you're faced up against the rest of the Nickel team, which is, of course, Greco Hampson, Levin Weinstein. These guys have been playing together for 40 years at this point, and they're not going to drop things in the bidding. They're not going to drop tricks in the card play. You really have to find ways to generate swings against them. And while it's true that these sort of hyper-aggressive preempting styles and whatnot can be ways to generate swings, over a 120 board match, it's going to be pretty tough for you to be on the right side of enough of those swings if you're taking anti-percentage actions. So...
yeah, and so for what it's worth, we'll get to the next match in a second. I think this is actually a much more interesting match than 15-2. Like, Fleischer or Nickel against Viseggio is the kind of match where you'll see, like, the difference between a very good team and, like, yeah, we're kind of crapping on Viseggio, but it's a very good team, and a truly great team where, I think maybe they were a little unlucky in the shuffle. I don't know if it was a shuffle or a straight draw, because, like, a couple of these other teams that are seated low, I think the Viseggio team would be a pretty heavy favorite again, so it's a little unlucky that they're seeded last.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, sometimes the seeding points can be a little bit random. And give me 1 second while I actually pull up. I'm going to try and fill in the bracket as we go so that we can talk about later round matchups. I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to do our best. Something like that. I will rearrange this on the bracket in just a sec. Boom. Yeah, as you say, up against some of the other teams, for example, scrolling down further in the bracket, like Parrish, there were a couple of other fairly weak teams that I saw.
Right.
McNay, specifically.
Yeah, again, like no terrible teams, but just teams that I think were probably head-to-head underdogs against the actual lowest seed.
Right.
There's no bad teams in this event, obviously.
No. So should we move to... Do you want to go down the bracket, or do you want to go, like, in order? Like 2-15 next?
Oh, whatever you want.
Let's just go straight down. So, Wildowski, Kaplan. I mean, obviously the 8 seed versus the 9 seed, this is expected to be a relatively close match. I'm going to go down to the Wildowski team first. There are no sponsors on either of these teams, right? Yeah, that's correct.
And they're both four-handed, which is not a liability early, but obviously it's going to hurt their chances as the event goes on.
Yeah, so let's see. Who's the higher seed? Kaplan. Let's talk about Wildowski first then. So, Wildowski and Robinson. I don't know how often those two have played together. I mean, I think...
So I'm actually not sure, because Ron and Stevie have also played some boards together over the years.
It's interesting, but I was...
You could ask Ron, but I suspect it's Wildowski, Compton, and Smith Robinson, but I don't know.
Gotcha.
I guess Chris and Ron did play. They made the finals of that event last year, or whenever it was. So
right.
Who knows?
Right. Yeah, it was last Spin Gold, I think. They got to the finals together. So that's why I guess they were playing together. But
yeah, many years ago when Peter Boyd had cancer treatment, which was 25 years ago or so, maybe even longer, totally successful, but he took a cycle off and Ron filled in that partnership.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, four-handed team. I mean, all of these guys can play. I think that Steve Robinson is certainly the weak link on the team, but one of his strengths, Robinson specifically, is in bidding system design, and so if he's not playing with a regular partner, like if he's playing with Rom Smith or if he's playing with Wildowski, whoever it is, he's probably going to lose out on one of the best aspects of his game, which is system design, because he won't have the strongest of partnerships with them.
but all these guys are capable of doing well. Again, I don't really think they stack up against, for example, their next round opponent, the Nickel team. Oh, will Dosky Robinson have a card? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something we could actually look at. We could look at those team cards.
I would say, though, going a little bit against what you said, so I agree with you. And I think Wildowski also is, he's a very good player. He's not someone you can necessarily just, sit down and fill out a card with. He also has, a lot of ideas and likes a lot of precision. So you say, that could be an issue for the partnership. Against that, though, one of Robinson's other really strong traits as a bridge player is he's never been that good a technical player, but he's an extremely tough player. I think someone in the DC area describes Stevie as someone who he would sit there for 10 minutes trying to turn 1700 into 1400, and that's something, he's pushing 85. He's obviously lost some processing power, but processing power was never the point of his game anyway. As far as just being tough and not losing your mind and not getting phased by tough bridge, that's something that I think age probably won't have a huge effect on.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, and that's something that I think it's not uncommon, but I think that's one of the things that a lot of bridge players can work on, because there are so many players, even in this event, and we might get to some of them later, who really fall apart if the session starts going badly. And if what you're saying is that Robinson wouldn't have that sort of issue, that's a huge deal, because then, especially in a matchup that's probably going to be close like this one, if his team gets out to a lead, it might start to spiral for the other team. Now, I guess we should then take a moment to look at the Kaplan team. I wouldn't expect any of them to have a problem with this. These are all, of course, seasoned veterans as well.
Those guys are all very tough.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how often any of these players play together. My guess is that it's going to be Kaplan and Kolesnik playing, and Grossack and Wold. But I guess we could look at the system cards just to verify.
Yeah. I think I would make Kaplan a small favorite in this match, but I think this is going to be one of, at least on the betting line, one of the closest matches of the day.
Yeah, this will be a very tough match to predict. I think that Kaplan, because obviously Kaplan has a bunch of younger players, and that tends to be a little bit favored towards the younger players in general. But I am a little bit concerned, usually, for some of these teams that feel like they're thrown together sort of last minute, and people who have other responsibilities, like Finn Kolesnik is in school right now. I don't know how much...
Oh, is he?
Well, I think so, right?
Well, he had taken at least one gap year. I didn't know if he had gone back to school after that.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard someone say that he was in college.
I don't know. I could believe it. I just, hadn't heard it. By the way, we can see there is a shuffle because Wildowski is 10th in seeding points, but 9th in actual seed.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay. So what Craig's saying about the teams being shuffled is just so that there's no sort of unfair advantage if you wanted to try and game the system and get a better first round opponent or whatever. There's a bit of randomized seeding, I think. Yeah, I mean, I could see it going to the Kaplan team. I mean, I've been impressed with Finn Kolesnik when I've watched him on VuGraph. I have not been particularly impressed with Kaplan or Grossack, or Wold for that matter, although obviously all of them are very strong players in their own right. So...
I always thought that Eddie Wold was a weak link on some of the teams that he played on, but a couple of people who I really respect as bridge handicappers told me that no, he actually really is a strong player, just just not playing on great teams some of the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that definitely is part of it. I think he is a strong player, as we've already mentioned. Basically everyone in this event is a fairly strong player.
Koopa says Finn scares you. You've played against him at the Austin Club a few times, and he's scary. He's crazy good. Yeah. He does seem very good. He's very mature for a junior player in terms of his understanding of bidding, like when to be aggressive and when to be passive, which is something that generally comes with experience rather than just from like being a good technical player. So I think a lot of that's probably attributed to his father, who's not as good a player as he is, but probably he grew up with a dad who played pretty high-level bridge, and his father probably told him to back off a little bit in a few auctions, and I think that has done him wonders. So yeah, I mean, like, I think he's probably the best player on this team by a good margin, Finn Kolesnik. And obviously both of these teams have a chance. If I wanted to pick a team that I thought had a better chance against Nickel the next day, I would probably choose Kaplan. Because I think... Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Well, what I was going to...
Finish your thought and then
Yeah, what I was going to say about that is that with Wildowski, Compton, Smith, and Robinson, these guys have been playing against Nickel for decades at this point, and they're just, like, blow for blow, not as good as the counterparts that they're going to be sitting against at the other table. Yeah. And both of these teams know each other very well. Now, I think that the Nickel team also is relatively familiar with all of the Kaplan members, but that's a team that I think could generate some strong swings, especially against a sponsor, and they might be able to take advantage of some of those imps generated and ride it to a victory, whereas I think the Wildowski team would have a harder time doing that.
Yeah, well, the Wildowski team, they're all grinders, right?
Yeah.
And grinders can be successful if they're like the French world champions who are some of the best players in the world. But these guys aren't at that level. Like, they're very good players, but they're not top of the world class type players. So grinders, but not world class, is a very bad matchup against Nickel, where the Kaplan team is much more active. So, I think that alone gives them a better chance. But actually, I was just going to say, I wonder if Kaplan, Grossack, and maybe, so Ish Del Monte, who Finn has played a lot of bridge with, isn't on any of these rosters. I wonder if Ish was originally on this team, and this weird Eddie Wold edition was because they needed a last-minute replacement for Ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very possible.
It makes sense, actually, that Finn would play with Eddie because they have the Texas connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good points as well. Yeah, I mean, some of these four-handed teams with no sponsor, I think a lot of the times these players are looking for sponsors for the event and then they don't find it, and so they all just like get together and form a mishmash of partnerships that, I don't want to call them the rejects, but basically the rejects of...
Right, and of course, one reason to play four-handed is a team like this could add a sponsor pair as long as the sponsor's not playing, and, someone would probably be willing to give these guys a bunch of money to go play in the Bermuda Bowl.
Right, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I don't think either of these teams necessarily has a great shot of winning for USA 1 or USA 2 in this field, but in this matchup, I think, as you said, it could go either way. It sounds like our pick is probably going to be for Kaplan, so I will write that in if I can do this and make it not look disgusting. There.
Yeah, it was like Kaplan by 10 or something, at least, like, I wouldn't want to concede more points than that.
Yeah, maybe I should also try and put in, like, a prediction score for things, just so that people could have more fuel for when I get this wrong. So Nickel, I'm going to say plus... They'll probably get a concession after the third quarter or the seventh set. What do you think?
I think no earlier than the seventh segment, unless they're up by like 100. I think Nickel is like over 2 days, maybe like a 60 or 70 in favor. Do you think that's too low?
Wow. Yeah, I was going to go way higher. I was going to, I was going to say like 150.
Wow.
I'll put it at 120.
So
I
nickel,
think you're selling a couple of Ascension guys kind of short.
maybe. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Kaplan.
Maybe look, I mean, maybe I'm way off just because I know them, but like that goes both ways, right? Knowing them well also means I have like a ton of contempt for those guys.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna put Kaplan at 15. Favorite.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Are we doing gambling? No, I would never gamble on Twitch. That sounds like against the terms of service. Why would anyone ever gamble?
Only for channel points.
Yeah, only for channel points. I will put up predictions and stuff during the whatever the actual event. Next match, Goodman Bramley. This was a match that I thought could go either way.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a really interesting match.
So we'll start with Bramley, who is the lower seed. They're currently ridden as the 12 seed. And we got one of our boys, Will Watson, is on the team. This team... yeah, I mean, this team just seems like... How did it get put together, the Bramley team? So we have Bramley and Woolsey and Fred Stewart. And all of those guys frequently team up together, right?
Yeah, although Stewart had actually semi-retired from Bridge. It's a little unusual to see him back. Like, I think he took several years off, I think, because he felt like he just wasn't playing that, like he had broken up his partnership with Woolsey, and I think he felt like he wasn't playing that well, yada, yada. So a little surprising to see him back, because, like, I had gotten the impression that he was retiring for good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it just happened because of this roster or whatever that Bramley has put together, or presumably Holtzauer and McAllister put together.
Right.
But so, okay, so then we have Will Watson, who obviously we can see he's pulling the team down with his 10 seeding points that he has. But he's a strong player. I mean, we saw him playing...
half a point below Fred.
Yeah. Yeah, Watson and Stewart are both pulling the team down a little bit. But Will's a strong technical player, and I think, as we mentioned before, he's just like a really good overall person, which is rare in the Bridge community.
He's a very good influence on a Bridge team.
Yes. And Will frequently plays with sponsors, and the team has 2 sponsors, Holtzauer and McAllister. Now, I mean, I'm relatively familiar with their games.
Though. Yeah, they're both good. I mean, neither is great, but they're both good players.
Yeah, so I assume the partnerships are going to be McAllister with Watson and Holtzauer with... I could look this up. You know what? I should just look this up.
I think Holtzauer played with Fred in Vegas, although I'm not 100% sure.
It is McAllister and Watson and Holtzauer and Stewart. Okay. So those are the partnerships. I mean, Bramley and Woolsey are just kind of like whatever the meth head equivalent of a Bridge player is. Like, their system just is insane, and it generates crazy swings on every board.
Well, also, they're both completely out there.
Yes. I honestly think that Bramley is not that crazy. He just goes along with Woolsey because, like, that's the partnership he's in. But yeah.
I think it depends who, right? Because over the years, he's played with, I think some guys who were pretty down the middle. Like, who did he play with before Woolsey?
He played with Stansby.
He played with...
Oh, no.
He played with... He played some with Stansby, and he played some with Mark Feldman. So, like, I think in those partnerships, you kind of have to be the operator.
Yeah, that's true.
Like with Kit, obviously, you just, like, go to the bathroom after the first board and let the compare come and see how you did.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just like, you hope that at some point you just land on your feet. And then from there, I mean, they're both really strong technical card players, Bramley and Woolsey.
Yeah,
like, Woolsey's a much better analyst.
Also very good. Bramley's a really good hand evaluator, also.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
So, like, I think if they just played a normal system, they would do so much better, but they probably just can't do it. They've been down in this trench for so long. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the strengths of their game is probably, like, their card play in general, as opposed to their system. Like, they get into weird spots, but then they do the right thing once they're in that weird spot, if possible.
I'm sure they partly play precision to, like, put some of their hands onto kind of a force track. And I think Bramley, like, being able to be the one who's out there when he's playing with down the middle people and, sort of sitting in his chair playing with Kid, I think, like, that's a sign of a great player, someone who, can be successful, basically having to do a complete 180 on their personal style.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I mean, that partnership obviously has competed in a lot of these really high-level events. I don't think they've won anything recently, but probably in the past they have. I
think they've won. I don't think they've won imp events, but they've won like Risingers and stuff like that.
Right, and so like they can definitely make stuff happen. They could easily have a card even against like 11 Weinstein. They could have a card that brings back like plus 50. It's possible. Yeah. So that I think is a huge strength to this roster. Now I'm not familiar with how much Stewart and Holzhauer or McAllister and Watson have played together. This might be a relatively new sort of sponsorship arrangement. And having two sponsors is challenging. It does reduce the monetary constraint on the sponsors themselves because these events can get fairly pricey in general. But it does kind of reduce your chances overall because then you're going to have a sponsor sitting in for you're going to have at least one sponsor sitting in for every segment. And, I could easily see McAllister being like, hey, James, we should just play both of the morning sets and then take the evening off. And I think that's... Go ahead.
So one thing I would say about that, though, is, like, let's say you're either McAllister or Holzhauer thinking about sponsoring a team solo to get, 5 experts to, like, quote-unquote increase your chances of winning. Like, you still got to get through Fleischer and Nickel and a bunch of other good teams. If you're sort of doing it just because you love playing in these events and know you're not going to win, I think this is a pretty valid way to do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well. I guess we could talk about expectations from the teams because a lot of teams enter this event, like when we get down to the parish team, for example, or some of the other ones just for experience. And this, I mean, is a great way to get experience, whether or not you're a young squad, if you just enjoy playing high-level bridge events, as obviously both Holzhauer and McAllister do, then, yeah, for that reason, like, this is a great way to do that. Now, speaking of McAllister specifically, he was on a team that I personally considered fairly weak, and he made it to the quarterfinals of the Vanderbilt recently. He was playing with the young players, Silverstein, Avery Silverstein.
That's right.
And a few others. I forget exactly who the team was, but
they got knocked out in the round of 16. Did they make it to the quarterfinal?
Well, either way, I mean, that's still a huge result for them.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, so I mean, like, obviously, McAllister can't necessarily be considered the backbone of the team, but he's been doing this for a long time. I mean, the first national that he went to was when I was playing with him back in 2011. That was 14 years ago at this point. He's been playing all of these high-level competitions. He's developed into a fairly strong player in his own right. He's won, I guess, a couple of nationals at this point. So, I wouldn't put him in the same class as Nickel or Fleischer yet, but he's probably getting there. I mean, he could easily be there in, like, 10 years if he keeps playing. So...
Yeah, and obviously it depends some on... how seriously he wants to take it, and obviously just what his means are, because, you can be the best sponsor, but if you're playing on a team like he is now, that's only going to get you so far, and that far will not be to the finals of the USBF.
Yeah, I do kind of wonder, because he has sponsored very strong teams in the past. I don't think, like, the Zimmerman type, but, like, he'll hire top European partnerships to play on teams with him.
And I think the realization at some point is just that, like, it's not as if he necessarily has a better chance of winning with those teams, either because, like, he's not good enough himself, or just because there's a lot of luck involved. Like, not, bridge luck or whatever, but just, like, you got to sit down against the right pair on that day and have them play worse than you on that day. And if you get together two teams of, like, world-class players and set them against each other, it's probably going to be 50-50 who wins. So, yeah, I think it could be for either reason, but maybe he is kind of building up to get to that. I know that he can afford it. I'll put it that way. Like, if John wanted to commit money to hiring a Zimmerman quality team, he could do so, and it would not break the bank.
I mean, no, and he could, but, like, it's not a meaningful percentage of Pierre Zimmerman's net worth, and it would be a meaningful percentage of his, is my guess.
No, it would not.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe you, but I'm surprised to hear it.
Now, I mean, I don't know. I'm basing this on what I know about him from the past. Like, I know his net worth. I'm not going to share. But, like, maybe he has spent a lot of money on, like, a bunch of real estate or something. Like, that's possible. I don't know. So I think he easily could devote a lot more resources to hiring better bridge teams. But I also know that John wants to play with people that he likes. And that's a lot more important to him than, like, playing with the best players. I mean, very similar to, like, Bill Gates, for example. Like, Bill Gates will not hire the best bridge teams because he wants to like his partner. He doesn't want to play with, like, Zia because no one likes playing with Zia. But so I think McAllister is the same way. He wants to play with friends and whatnot as opposed to necessarily the best team. So that could be a reason that he's hiring Watson specifically because, I mean, Will is just a great partner overall.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've talked a lot about Bramley. Let's talk about Goodman because, I mean, this team has been around for a while. They've all played together. I mean, these are very strong players. They definitely deserve to be the 6th seed, which is where they ended up. But I do think that the Bramley... this is going to be a very close match. And if I...
Yeah, I think, like, this is about where the bracket starts to really trail off. Like, there's 2 sponsors. Yeah, it's... Like, this is a pretty... Like, the difference between the 4 seed and the 6 seed is pretty stark here.
Yes. Yeah, and so, I mean, Goodman, Pacell, they played together a bunch. Rodwell, Simpson played together a bunch. Granger and Wooldridge are obviously a very solid partnership. So both of these teams are going to have 2 sponsors when they play against each other. Now, I mean, in comparison between the sponsors, I'm not actually sure. Rodwell and Simpson have played this, like, really souped-up precision system, probably Eric's doing, and they've been doing it fairly well for a while, but it seems like Simpson doesn't really get it. From what I've seen, at least in the past, there was kind of the infamous 7 clubs disaster or whatever it was.
There's a lot of notes to learn, and he has a job.
Right. And so he's
a good player from what I've heard. He played some with Jeff Aker, and Jeff told me that Doug can play. I think Glenn played on teams with him and said Doug is good. Like, it's hard to learn the Meckwell notes when you have an actual job.
For sure. For sure. But yeah, so I mean, sponsor versus sponsor, like Goodman, Simpson against Holzhauer and McAllister, I think it's pretty close, honestly. Goodman,
I think, is probably a slightly better player than Holzhauer and McAllister, but only slightly.
I think that So I think that McAllister is much stronger than Holzhauer, is my read on them. I could be wrong,
I
but...
haven't actually seen Holzhauer play any board, so...
Yeah, I have. So my impression is that McAllister is much stronger, but I think McAllister's probably in the class of, like, Andy Goodman, would be my guess.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I mean, the Goodman-Pacell partnership is going to be obviously a lot more practiced, but, and probably Pacell is a better player than Will Watson, but, I don't know that that's a huge skill differential, especially now that Basel's really getting on.
Right. And sure, I mean, Granger Woldridge is a very strong partnership. Maybe for that reason, I have to give the edge to Goodman, but like Woolsey Bramley, it really could go anywhere. Like I could,
Right.
again, I feel like their variance in terms of how many imps are going to be scored in a set has to be like plus or minus 70 for one standard deviation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
If you told me I had to pick like 3 or 4 upsets, this would be at the top of my list for upsets.
Yeah, I think it's right. I agree with you, and I think it's going to be, at least on paper, a pretty even matchup. Yeah, I believe Vassell is second in master points. He's also 78 years old. I just looked it up, so, at some point, pushing 80 and playing a lot of like he plays a ton of bridge, and a ton of it is with clients. Like, that catches up with you eventually.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pick the upset just so that people can yell at me later and be like, "This match wasn't even close. What were you thinking?" So I'm gonna say Bramley by 20. Maybe I should go less. Maybe I should go by 10.
Yeah, I think 20 is, a little high.
Bramley by 6. There we go. I fixed it.
Yeah. Bramley and OT.
Yeah. All right. On to the 13 versus 4 matchup. We have McNay against Wolfson. So let's start with the lower seed, McNay. So Ewan McNay has been starting to sponsor some teams here and there. This time, we once again have 2 sponsors on the team, McNay and Shearson, Max Shearson.
Yeah.
And then we have Harrison Luba, who finished second place to me in the Robot NABC. Also ended up doing quite well, I think, in the recent Vanderbilt. He might have been on McAllister's team, is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay. But then they picked up Debbie Rosenberg, who, and Olivia Shearson. I think they frequently play together in women's events. I'm not sure.
Well, Debbie and Max play a ton, so it makes sense that Olivia would be along for the ride.
Right. So yeah, it's 5-handed, which I guess means we don't exactly know the partnerships, even if the convention cards are posted.
I suspect it's going to be Harrison and Olivia throughout, and Debbie alternating with the sponsors.
Gotcha. So this team, to me, feels like probably the weakest in the entire field. I don't know what your thoughts are on overall.
I think that's probably correct, although I didn't actually look to see who the other candidates were.
We have the Parish team.
Yeah, that's I would take the Parish team over this one, I think. 4 experts, none of whom are amazing experts, but like they're all pretty good players versus a team with 2 sponsors. I don't know. That's a pretty tall order for the sponsors.
I think so as well. But either way, they got the 14 seed, maybe in the shuffle. And
yeah,
I mean, okay, so
16 were shuffled.
Yeah, we've talked a little about Harrison in the past. He's been on stream a few times, and I think one of my friends, Aaron Jones, who sometimes comes to tune in, he says that Harrison's a very talented player. I mean, obviously the guy has had some pretty good results, for sure, and I think that's probably right. The times that we've seen him on Vugraph, I mean, I haven't been all that impressed, but again, this is like I'm comparing him with like the Fleischer team or the Nickel team or whatever. So just in context, not being very impressed could mean that like, sure, he's a pretty strong expert player. Olivia did really well.
Just after something, so Harrison played with Olivia, in the Vanderbilt, and they made the round of 16. Not on the McAllister team; they were on the Lynn Baker team.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and so Olivia also, I think, again, a lot of people will say that she's a rising star. She had taken a year off, but now is going to school. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. I think Colorado College, I believe.
So, yeah, she has other commitments as well. I mean, obviously, like, as a bridge player in college, depending on what you're studying and depending on where you go to school, you can still find plenty of time to take off to compete in bridge. But there are priorities that you have to balance. But she's done very well for herself in a lot of events. I think she does have a lot of talent. She's actually played with Will Watson in the past, and I think in this event last year she played with Will. And not necessarily the most impressive player for this field. I think she would have a much better chance in, say, the women's or even the mixed than in the open event. But I think she'll be able to kind of like keep up with what's going at the table. Same with Debbie Rosenberg, of course, one of the infamous Rosenberg family that seems to dominate bridge for generations.
It actually just occurred to me. I suspect this is a warm-up for the mixed. I bet this team is going to play the same roster in that event.
Actually, we can figure that out. Let me take a look at the mixed teams. So they aren't signed up yet.
Right, because they have to wait until they lose.
No, but entries are closed for the mixed.
Oh, really?
Ooh, yeah. There were players, like for example, Bramley is signed up in the mixed. So there are teams that have signed up for both. And I guess
Olivia, right, is on Team Rosenthal, but yeah, I guess Debbie must be playing, right? There's no way she's not.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, Olivia is on Team Rosenthal.
Yeah, Debbie's
playing with Michael.
Yeah, yada yada.
Right. So it's not the same team, but yes, I mean, like, as you mentioned, like, this would probably be a team that has a much better chance in the mix. They might still not be one of the top teams in the field, but at least they would have, some of the better female players on the team in the field playing for them. Okay, who are they playing? They're playing against Wolfson, right? So this looks like a strong team. I mean, I don't think that, there might have been some top seeds that McNay could have, like, tussled with a little bit. This does not look like one of them. Wolfson and Garner
just make a national knockout final.
Yeah, I mean, Wolfson and Garner, sure. Like, there's always going to be a sponsored partnership, but they play fine. Berkowitz and Mexstroth, I mean, like, those guys are just good. Like, and now they've been playing together for quite some time. Of course, they're getting older, but, like, I don't think that takes away from Jeff's, abilities as a player or David's abilities as a player. Zia, also old, but he just won the Platinum Pairs playing with Kevin Rosenberg. Michael Camel is quite a solid partner as well, so even if the two of them have not played together much, like, Zia doesn't strike me as one of those partners that really cares about system. His whole plan is to just, like, show up and, like, bid to 3 no trump or 4 of a major every time and, like, hope that he can swindle the opponents and make it. That's his style. And so I think Michael Camel and him playing together are going to be an excellent partnership. Like, this is a team I could easily see doing very well in this event. Like, even going up against the Nichols and Fleischers.
I mean, Camel and Zia, they played some over the years. It's not totally new. The one thing about this team is I feel like Wolfson teams just always, like, last tournament accepted, I feel like that team just often underperforms at skill level. Which maybe if you do it every time means you're not underperforming. That's just your skill level.
Yeah. It's definitely true that as you say, these teams don't always do all that well. But I mean, I'm always impressed with, like, Mexstroth when he's on Vugraph. Like,
there are some players who I'm just like, okay, they've had a good day and they'll have bad days, and like, sure, they're a world-class player, but like like there are ups and downs. But Mexstroth has always felt like, he just does the right thing. Sometimes it doesn't work out for him and he doesn't get good results, but he actually understands the game. Like, I haven't felt that way when I watch Rodwell on Vugraph. I feel like Rodwell doesn't really have a deep understanding of the game. So, now, obviously both those guys played together and respected each other for many, many years. But I just, like, I think Mexstroth's actually just, like, really good, is my opinion. I would not say the same of Zia. I know that's going to hurt a lot of people watching, but that's my opinion of Zia. I think, like, Zia plays fine. He's a world-class player, but, like, I don't think he really understands the game in general. He plays for fun, and I mean, he's super fun to watch, and that's awesome. Like, it's great having him on camera, but I think Mexstroth is much, much better than Zia is at the game. But either way, I mean, I think this is a super stacked roster, and I don't know. In this first round matchup, I think they're going to crush them. How bad do I think it's going to be?
So, like, this is where it's a little dangerous to say that the Baseggio point spread was 120, because there's no way that match is going to be a bigger blowout than this one.
Well, right. I mean, I think this is going to be 200 plus.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, like, I could be wrong, but we're going to say 200. That's what I'm going to say. I don't know. What do you think?
Going to say a number close to, but not quite that. Go with 200.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, this is one where you might want to do a, like, per quarter, because you could see a concession plus 150 after 6. So you'd sort of be right, but sort of not.
Right. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Rosenthal against Han. So we'll start out with Han, who is the lower-seeded team. I'm not familiar with, like, most of these players. I mean, Jack Zhao I have seen and played against before, but I don't know any of the other players on this team.
Yeah, Jack's a good player. I don't know any others either. I wonder... Jeff Fang, I feel like I've run across before, but the others I'm not familiar with.
Gotcha. I guess it's very possible that this is a non-sponsored team, and they just have 6 players that wanted to play together.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, the seeding points are even enough to suggest that there's no sponsor, but who knows?
Yeah, it also doesn't look like there's a ton of juniors other than maybe Qian Shun Yang. Because that's the only one that has super low seeding points. But yeah, I'm not familiar. I mean, if we assume that it is a 6-handed non-sponsored team with a bunch of, potentially foreign players that might have emigrated to the US at some point, this could be dangerous for their opponents.
You don't want to be the team that draws this in the first round.
No, certainly not. And they're up against Rosenthal. So I guess without much to say about this team, let's take a look at Rosenthal in the matchup. So this, I think, is honestly the Rosenthal team. To me, I felt like I've given them the benefit of the doubt a lot, especially in the, Vanderbilt spin golds type things. I rank them fairly highly.
Wolfson underperforms.
Yeah, and they they perform in the events. And I do wonder, because I've always been a big fan of the Norwegian players. They do very well as a Norwegian team in international events. So I don't know what the reason is for the poor performance on the Rosenthal squad, if it's just random chance, or if it's that Rosenthal and Silverstein just aren't quite up to par with some of the other sponsored pairs, or if it's that Wilenkin and Helgamo are not as strong of a partnership as they are individual players. I'm not sure. But again, I mean, like on paper, Rosenthal looks like an exceptional team. Grossack and Rosenberg have played together quite a bit. And I think that they're both very strong players. Janusar and Wilenkin have played together quite a bit as well. And of course, Rosenthal, Silverstein.
Yeah, Janusar was just second in the Vanderbilt. Obviously, that guy can play.
Right. So, I mean, I think they've all had relatively strong resumes, even in recent years. I don't know what Chris has done recently, but I mean, I assume that he's done fairly well.
Like 3 years ago, he won a Vanderbilt Spin Gold like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, short of that though, very little because he's been focused on other things. He's building his little VC fund. He doesn't really like playing bridge.
Yeah, which really sucks.
He likes playing top level bridge. He doesn't want to basically even if he got offers for the Europeans or last year the transnationals, he said that he would decline for any amount of money. Data makes a ton of money. He's just got other priorities.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I don't think this team is going to lose in the opening round, but
no, although it's impossible to handicap this match, so who knows?
Right, but I have to. That's why we're here. That's why people are paying me the big bucks, is to...
I would say Rosenthal by 40, but prepared to look incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it could go in either direction from there. So Rosenthal, 40 seems fair. And yeah, it could go either way on this one.
Boy, though, other than Fleischer, it really feels like the top half of the bracket is much stronger than this half.
Yeah, now we're gonna go into the next matchup. Shori against, who was it? Jacobs. So let's take a look at Jacobs first. So George Jacobs and Claude Vogel, I think they've played together a bit, but I'm not that familiar.
They have played together seriously for decades, probably 40 plus years.
Gotcha.
With a bit of a hiatus when George was hiring really top teams, but even then they played some. But kind of, before and after that period when George was throwing money at bridge, they were a regular partnership.
Gotcha. Yeah, because the only times that I had played against George in the past would have been, 10, 15 years ago when he was playing with Steve Beatty and he was hiring teams. So I don't know that much about Claude Vogel. George Jacobs, I think, was a okay player in the past when I played against him, and now he's a lot older.
Okay, is about right. Claude, Claude, is a little bit strange, but he's a pretty good player.
Gotcha. Billy Cohen and Gary Kohler, I played against them recently in a regional, so relatively familiar with their game. They're, solid, but again, for this kind of level of competition, they're not the partnership that you want going up against some of these other ones, like the Gru Mosses or the Finn Kolesniks even.
It's true, but I would put them in the second tier below the really, really great partnerships. I would take them over, Grossack and Wold, for example, or, some of these other pairs we're talking about. I would put them probably on a par with, I don't know, Chris and Eldad or Zach and Rosenberg are probably better than Cohen and Kohler, but you can put them in the same conversation pretty comfortably.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually play at the table against them. We played a match against their team. We were sitting in the other room. They seemed okay, from what I heard from our teammates, but that's all I got out of them. Sontag and Weixel.
Yeah, Kohler plays with Pepsi, people who know bridge think he can play.
Yeah, makes sense. So Sontag and Weixel have played together a bit. They're much older guys as well.
Yeah,
Santi can still
they
play.
played a lot in the '70s. So Santi and Wexell played a lot in the '70s, and then took decades off. And I guess neither of them had anyone else to play with, so they came back.
Yeah, and Sontag can still play because
Yeah.
I played against him like a year ago or something at like a sectional tournament. Leo Lasota had
'Cause he
asked me to
lives
come
in,
out and play,
Maryland, yeah.
and Sontag like still was like really good. So that guy has aged well. Wexell, I'm not too familiar with. It's been a
against all
while.
odds, by the way, right?
Hmm?
Sontag has aged well against all odds, right? Because he's sure tried not to.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, and Wexell.
He's quite old at this point. I mean, he's got to be 80, and I think a good player, but no longer a great one.
Yep.
Yeah, 82 actually, or will be 82 this year.
Yeah, so I mean, this team has some players on it. I mean, like no sponsor, but like they do have some weaker links on the team, and up against them, they're facing off against Shori. So this is going to be the younger team. We have Raj and Gavin, who just recently played in the what's it called? The World Bridge Tour Finals thing. We saw them.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously won the transnational teams. Raj is not necessarily the same skill level as some of these other sponsors, like even McAllister would probably be a significantly stronger player than Raj, but he's relatively new to the game, and yet I think he's like a really smart guy who has picked up a lot of stuff relatively quickly. He's been playing with Gavin for a long time, so obviously he has a really good teacher. He's picked up Des Moines and Cranyak now a couple of times. They're a solid partnership addition, and he's now decided to supplement the team with Kevin Dwyer Rimstead and Shan Wong, who I don't actually know how much those two play together specifically, but they play on the same team a lot. So
they're playing on Millen's teams together, weren't they?
Right, but Shan usually plays with the sponsor.
Right.
So, but I mean, I talked with Shan when I was out in, where was it? That tournament I went to, St. Louis.
St. Louis, yep.
And I didn't like Shan in the past when I was playing Pro Bridge, but like the conversation we had in St. Louis was great. I think he's like a really awesome person. So I don't know what.
Yeah, and that may have been also when he was playing with David Sabrin, who I think took some time off Bridge, and I saw him in Toronto, and he seemed to be much better adjusted to life. But I think that was probably not a great just not a great dynamic at the time.
Yeah.
And also, again, going back 15 years, 15 years in the life of someone like Shan, who was very young at the time and probably had always been the smartest guy in any room he was in, is a long time.
For sure. So yeah, I mean, I had talked with both of them. Of course, they were playing on the Millens team in St. Louis for the regional, and really happy to catch up with them because we had been old friends or old-ish friends for a while. But I've always had a lot of respect for both their games. I think Kevin is just like the rock solid guy that you want on any team. He'll just sit there and do normal things, and every once in a while he'll have a time to shine, and he usually capitalizes on it. And Shan, I think, is
totally random.
No, I mean, okay, look, he did
perpetrate. Shan operates.
Well, he plays with a lot of sponsors. Yes, he did perpetrate the auction, a spade and no trump 6 diamonds, in the match against us. But I think that he is good at capitalizing on table feel, and that's really useful. I mean, if you're going to operate, you better be good at that. So, but yeah, I mean, I think he's a very solid player as well. Maybe this partnership is not quite as good as the Des Moines Cranyak partnership, who's been around for 20 plus years, but this is going to be a really strong addition to the team as well. So I would expect Shori to have a considerable edge over the Jacobs team in this match?
Yeah, so I would say, I don't know how you would define considerable, like plus 40 maybe. I wouldn't feel comfortable going any bigger than that.
Really? I mean, 120 boards is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. I guess it's, yeah, maybe it's true. Like, the sponsor pair on the Shori team is better than the sponsor pair on the Jacobs team, and both pro pairs are better than both Jacobs pro pairs, probably. Although I think that's going to be closer. Yeah, maybe like 60 or so. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Okay, I was going to say 60, so I'll go with that.
All right, two more.
Yeah, two more. All right, we have Bailey and Kovachev. So
I think it's Kovachev, but I'm not sure.
Kovachev. Yeah, so I've played against the Kovachev team in Gatlinburg last year. And, wait, who's the lower seed? Kovachev, yeah, so we'll start with them.
Val, yeah.
Um,
It feels okay. Jacob's a pretty good player. Babu's been playing in these things for a billion years.
Yeah, so the Morgan-Connery partnership will be very solid. This is four-handed with a sponsor.
Charlie Wilkins War.
Yeah. It's... which is obviously very difficult, because if the sponsor's playing every single board, there's going to be at least one segment where you come back and you have a minus 50 card, and there's just nothing you can do about it.
I think a sponsor who I think is never played in this event either, which is really dangerous four-handed.
Right. And, I mean, this team did do well against us when Kurt and I played in Gatlinburg. I was not on, like, a top-level team or whatever, but I think we ended up losing, like 18-2 or something in VPs. I forgot what it was. So, Kovachev, Morgan, and Connery can play. I do not think that this team has really what it takes to win a 120 board match, though. But I am curious, who are they playing against? They're playing against Bailey. Okay.
Yeah, which is, again, like not one of the top teams in the event, but a very tough team.
Right. This does feel like a bit of an underseed for Bailey, getting the 7 seed. I guess I haven't been all that focused on who's ahead of them. But Bill Bailey and Dan Corbell have been playing together for a while. Bill is not necessarily the strongest sponsor in the event, but Dan Corbell plays with him a lot, and Dan is very good at handling sponsors. Josh Don and Roger Lee have been... I don't know if they've done much recently, but they definitely won the Blue Ribbon Pairs back in my day. Can I say like that?
2012.
Back in my day?
2012, I believe.
Yeah. And of course, Kevin Rosenberg just won the Platinum Pairs, and he's playing with Brian Platnick. They've played together quite a bit as well. This seems like... Yeah. I mean, obviously, the Kovachev team is well-practiced as well, because they have 2 solid partnerships, but I think that this team, just with the ability for the sponsor to sit out for... half of the boards, is going to make it a lot easier for Bailey to kind of dictate the pace of the match. And I think both Platnick and Rosenberg, as well as Don and Lee, in different ways, are going to be very capable of taking over a match against a fairly weak sponsor. Josh Don and Roger Lee will just, like... Roger's very good at, like, picking apart the weaknesses of opponents and just, like, really poking and prodding until they start dumping imps to him. And Platnick and Rosenberg are just...
You've got it wrong. The partnerships were actually J. Don and Bill and Corbell and Lee.
Oh, okay. That's really interesting. I wonder why they...
J. Don and Bailey have played a lot of boards, too.
Yeah, but I don't feel like Dan and Roger have played all that much.
No, but, if the sponsor prefers playing with Josh or they're more effective, then there you go.
Yeah.
So, Dan and Roger... is Roger living in Vegas now? I think he is, right?
He was a few years ago, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so is Dan. So they probably, hang out and talk a lot of bridge, like that's the thing, talking bridge is at least as valuable as playing with someone. Like, sure, you got to sit at the table with someone, but just like going over hands and learning the thought process is at least as I don't want to say at least useful for building a partnership, but it's pretty close.
For sure. And Dan's a really easy guy to play with. I don't know if I've ever played with him, but I had talked a lot of bridge with him back in the past. But yeah, I mean, just completing the thought, like Roger Lee is very good at like picking apart weak sponsors. Platnick and Rosenberg are just like solid. So, they're just going to do the technically correct thing on every hand, and that's often also very difficult for a sponsor to deal with. Because if you sit there and your opponents don't make mistakes, you get frustrated, and then you're going to start making errors yourself. So I think Bailey actually has a sizable advantage in this match.
Yeah, I agree. As far as being underseeded, looking at the teams ahead of them, the only one who I think maybe they should be flipped with is the 6 seed Goodman, and you can see on seeding points they were on average 0.3 away. So, like, it's just this is a really tough event. Every team, at least in the top half of the bracket, has a real chance to win.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely agree on that. So, bottom of the bracket, Parrish against Fleischer. This is our last quarterfinal team to select. So we'll take a look at Parrish. Down here, they're the 15 seed. Parrish, Rothy, Clayton, and Sprung. We had already talked a little bit about them, that this is kind of a team that's entering the event for fun.
All to me, like all good players, but yeah, like I think this team is under no delusions about their ability to win the USBF trials.
Right, and yeah, I guess let's take a look at Fleischer then to give a little bit of insight on them. So Marty and Chip, Bathurst and Hurd, Grew and Moss.
So what are the partnerships on the Parrish team? Is it Adam and Anant and Phil and Danny, probably?
I would assume.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those guys have all played some boards together.
Yeah, I assume they have. And, I mean, this is going to be a fun match for them. I don't expect them to have much of a chance up against such a strong team. I mean, even up against Chip and Marty, they're probably still expecting to lose about 30 imps on that set. Bathurst and Hurd have played together a bunch. Grew and Moss. What?
30's a lot at 15 boards.
I guess that's true. But it could easily be 30. Yeah,
like 150-ish imp underdog, like a point and change per board.
Right. Yeah, so Grew and Moss, I feel like, have done part of this underperforming/performing thing that we were talking about. I always feel like they should do better because it seems to me like they have all of the right tools in place. They have a well-practiced system that they believe in that generates swings, and they're both very, very strong card players. But it does seem like maybe people have just figured out their system and are taking advantage somehow. So they seem to not do all that well. Bathurst and Hurd have done quite well. And obviously Fleischer and Martel have done well because they just won the recent Vanderbilt. So I don't think that Fleischer's going to have difficulty dispatching Parrish in the first round, but we'll see what the matchups look like after that. So let me put up the final thing, and then we can move on to the semifinals and get some predictions for it.
You're not going to go all the way through the finals tonight, are you?
I was planning to. I mean, you don't have to stick around if you don't want to.
No, I think this is where I get out and lurk because it's now 10:15 here and I haven't had dinner.
Sounds good.
Well, all right. So I assume we'll be doing commentary for the actual event once it starts. So we can look forward to that. And on that, I'm going to sign off and head to the chat.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Craig. Okay.
So yeah, let's keep going and get through semifinals, finals, pick a winner, try and get a little bit of a matchup here. So we've already kind of looked at all the teams. This is where we have landed in terms of our picks for the round of 8 and a little bit of imp odds maybe for this. Nickel against Kaplan, so I'm not going to go back to the thing, and I think I'm probably going to be a little bit quicker at going through this. I will talk a bit about what I think for my picks, and let's just try and fill in the bracket. So I think I had mentioned earlier that I didn't believe that either Kaplan or Wildowski would stand much of a chance against Nickel in the second set. Whoever goes through, and I think that is probably something I'm going to stick with. So I do believe Nickel will win this match. And if they do play against Kaplan, I think there are chances for the Kaplan team to pick off, maybe a segment or two, go plus. So there will be a little bit of back and forth. I suspect Nickel is probably going to comfortably win this match. I will give them a 60 imp victory here. Now moving down to Bramley against Wolfson. Who do I think is going to come out ahead in this matchup? I mean, so I had Bramley as an upset in the first round over Goodman. And Wolfson and Goodman are maybe not necessarily the same quality team, but they're relatively close, at least in seeding points. I mean, I could see Bramley being a bit of a dark horse, making some kind of run through the tournament. I think head-to-head matchups between that team, the Bramley team, and the Wolfson team is very much favored in Wolfson's favor. I mean, Meckstroth and Berkowitz, of course, just very strong players. Zia was playing with Michael Camel. Should be a very solid partnership. I think I'm going to give Wolfson the edge, just because I thought they were such a huge favorite in the first round, even though they were playing up against probably the weakest team in the field, McNay. But I think this is a matchup that could go either way once again. So I'll say Wolfson. And I'm going to give them a lot of credit just because they do have such a powerhouse roster. And also because Wolfson and Garner play a lot together and have been playing in these events for a long time. I don't think they're going to slip too much at their table. So let's give Wolfson a small edge over Bramley. I'll say 35. Okay, next matchup. Rosenthal against Shorey. Ooh. Wow. Well, if now's the time to pick an underperforming Rosenthal to bow out early, I think now's got to be the time to do it. I think I am going to take the Shorey team here. It's tough. It's so tough. I mean, Dwyer and Wong, so Kevin Dwyer-Rimstead and Shan Wong playing together, is a bit of a question mark partnership for me. Like, they're both good players, and they can both compete at this level of competition. But the Rosenthal team does have well-practiced partnerships and well-established partnerships. I'm not sure. Rosenthal doesn't seem to do very well in these events. Okay, I'm going to back up that judgment. I'm going to have to take Shorey over Rosenthal. They have had more recent success, winning the transnationals, of course. And with Gavin and Raj now playing together more and more often in some of these high-level events, I think one of the difficulties with being a sponsor generally is that when you start out playing in these high-level competitive events, sometimes it can be overwhelming, right? Like, especially if you've learned bridge growing up and you've played with parents or friends or something like that, or you're just getting into it and you've played a couple of regionals or club games with a pro player. It's a lot different when you sit down against someone who just doesn't make mistakes on any boards. But once you get a couple of rounds of that in and getting yourself beaten to a pulp by these players, you kind of get used to it, and then you can settle in to play your game. And I don't know if Raj is at that point, but I'm going to give them the edge in this matchup. So we're going to take Shori at a plus. We're going to say +7. It's going to be a close one. This is going to be a real barn burner of a match, but finally, we have Bailey up against Fleischer. I think to no surprise, I'm going to choose Fleischer in this matchup. Fleischer has not done all that well in localized US events, but they do seem to qualify to play the Bermuda Bowl quite often. So even though Bailey does have some good partnerships on the team and some good players, I'm going to give Fleischer the edge. And we're going to say that Fleischer wins this by 40, I think. I think Bailey is a very weak sponsor, and so that's probably the reason for why I would pick Fleischer by... I mean, it's not a super large margin. It could easily be bigger, but I'm going to give them the edge here. Going back up. So now we have Nickel against Wolfson. I'm trying to find the correct line to put this on. Let's go over here. There we go. Nickel versus Wolfson. So, I mean, obviously Nickel's a strong team. They've flailed out of the Vanderbilt in the round of 32 or something this time around. I forget who they were playing against, but while it was probably a relatively strong team, it was not one of the strongest teams in the event. But I think that's a pretty rare occurrence that Nickel really flames out that badly early. Wolfson is going to have a very easy first round, but then they're going to face up against either Bramley or Goodman, and they might be relatively tired. Nickel has dropped out early in a lot of tournaments as the world's #1 Nickel hater. I don't know how believable your story is, but I'll take it at face value for now. I think this could be a very easy or very close matchup. Both of these teams have known each other for a long time as the staples of American bridge going back to the 1970s. I don't know. I could see this one going either way. They lost to Goldberg this year. Okay, so that was probably round of 16, right? Goldberg tends to be around that seed, 16 or 17. So they won a match, and then they lost in the next round. I don't know. I mean, Nickel won, what was it, the 2024 Spin Gold? They have won a recent big match with this exact team. Mexstroth wants to win. He's playing on Wolfson, given he got fired. It was the 2024 Vanderbilt that they won. Gotcha. So that was like a bit over a year ago, but I mean, I don't think the team has fallen apart that much in recent months. I'll take... I mean, I think on paper we would have to pick nickel, but if I was like filling out a bracket or something, I think this match could go in either direction. So I'll take Wolfson at plus... it's okay to have a point spread of Pick'em. We'll take Wolfson at plus 16. 2 imps per segment. Alright, down here we have our other semifinal match to pick. Fleischer and Shorey. This could also go either way. I think it's time for me to stand up for the Grumas have not had a good showing in a while. You know, you could argue that they're overdue. Maybe they are. Maybe they're hungry because they have not been a part of the Fleischer team for all of Fleischer's success for the past couple of years, whereas Hurd and Bathurst have been doing quite well on other rosters. I'm going to take Shorey here. I think it's very possible that the younger guys on the Shorey team end up beating Fleischer. It has happened in the past. So, you know, on like the Fireman team, for example, they were able to go through Fleischer on their way to winning the USBCs back when I was playing in it. So I think this is another potential upset, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Fleischer has been underperforming, and they will continue to do so. So, Shorey here, this is going to be another close match. We'll give them the victory by 12 over Fleischer. Okay, and then finally, for our champion, Craig says Fleischer is enough better than Shorey to make a huge difference, but who knows? That's actually a really good point. I didn't even consider that. But you know what? I'm sticking with my guns. Gura and Moss, for whatever reason, they're just gonna like lose 50 imps, and they just won't be able to come back. Hurd and Bathurst will be trying to carry, but up against their old teammates, just won't be able to do anything. Nickel did not make the cut in the Solway. They weren't even top 32 in the Swiss qualifying. Yeah, Swiss is a difficult animal. Wolfson against Shorey for USA 1. This is not how it's going to shake out. But I think like if I was trying to place sports betting odds, like this, if these matchups were rated in terms of like, you know, normal sports betting, where like Wolfson was a huge underdog against Nickel, then I would probably take Wolfson at whatever their odds were. I think that matchup could easily go their way. Same for Shorey against Fleischer. I think the matchup could easily go Shorey against Fleischer, even though Fleischer might be, you know, 3-1 favorite or something in the match. I guess that's what I'm doing. Like, if I just picked the favorites in every match like that, I don't think that would be as insightful as what I'm doing here. Maybe it would if I had, like, you know, put the plus thing by it to notify that it's going to be a close matchup. Well, finally we have, what did we say, Wolfson against Shorey. So for USA 1, I am going to pick in this matchup This is a tricky one. I think this time I'm going to pick Wolfson. I think that just having, you know, the Berkowitz-Mexstroth partnership is really strong. Camel and Zia, I think, are going to do fine. Garner and Wolfson are going to do fine. The Shori team. Here's where the having a weaker sponsor comes into play. This is it. Raj is going to need to really pull things together, and having already defeated, Rosenthal and then Fleischer, they're going to be tired and exhausted. They get to the final matchup. Wolfson has had, not necessarily the hardest run through the bracket. They had to take out Nickel. I think they're going to be well rested. Wolfson's going to come in, and they're going to win by 25. There we go. This is my bracket. Now everyone can make fun of me when this is not what happens, but these are my predictions for the USBCs. Wolfson over Shori in the finals for USA 1. And who do I think is going to make USA 2? I think USA 2 will be... obviously Shori has the best chances if this is the way the open bracket goes, or the USA 1 bracket goes, because they would only need to win one more match. I think Fleischer takes USA 2. That's my prediction. Wolfson and Fleischer. Does everyone drop into USA 2? They do. Yeah. Okay. I assume people have screenshotted this or made a clip or something, so I'm going to move on. We'll show off the USA 2 bracket. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about some of the mixed teams and women's and everything else. But this is the USA 2 bracket, so it's basically everyone from the round of 16 onwards can drop into the USA 2 bracket depending on where they lose. And then there's, it's basically just a double elimination thing. Looks like there's some choice of opponents that people can make. But that's how it works. And then USA 2 is eventually decided. Okay. So let's look at these are the mixed teams. Just a quick sneak peek of this. I guess I could pull up the things in order. Let me take a look at that. There is bracket pictures, no buys and seating. That's what I want, right? The spreadsheet. There's women's, there's mixed, and there's going to be seniors. All right, we can take a look at the women's. There's only 3 teams in this. So I assume that... so last time Zhang won. Team Zhang, which was Susan Zhang, Sylvia Shi, Janice Molson, Jenny Wolpert, Jill Myers, and Carrie Sanborn. They were the ones that represented the U.S. Oh, actually, no, Zhang won the mixed, right? And this is women's. Baker might have won the women's. So Lynn Baker, Olivia Shearson, Sandra Rimstedt, Cecilia Dwyer-Rimstedt, Amber Lynn, and Debbie Rosenberg. Is Debbie like a captain or something? Why does she have no seeding points? I don't know. But they're probably the favorite. The Lewis team does not look like they're going to stand much of a chance, but it looks like they're also four-handed with no sponsor. But certainly the better players are going to be on the Zhang team as well as the Baker team. In the event, I guess I'm going to hand it to the Swedes, now Americans. I think that they're fairly strong players. I mean, specifically Cecilia. I think that she is just by far the best female player that the U.S. has. I think Jenny's pretty good. I think I think from watching Carrie Sanborn, she was also relatively strong, was my take. Why is Migri not playing in this? I wonder. But those are my takes on the women's. Let's take a look at the mixed. I'm looking for... Can we please just sort this by seed? Okay, it looks like Rosenthal has the highest seed. Makes sense. Andrew Rosenthal playing with Migri. Chris Willinkin playing with Olivia. They recently played in the Platinum Pairs. I think they made day 3. Maybe they only made day 2. I don't remember. And Dana Berkowitz, our girl, playing with Eldad Ginasar. So they're the 1 seed. I mean, they definitely look like a fairly strong team. I haven't looked at the other teams, but they're probably high up on the list. They have some very strong female players in the event, as well as some relatively strong male players, and their sponsor is pretty good as well. Rubenstein looks like the 2 seed. They have Zach Gersak playing with Georgia Boda. They have Vince DeMoy and Jenny Wolpert. Ooh, that's going to be a strong partnership. And Stuart Rubenstein playing with Anam Teba. They've been around for a while. This also looks like a pretty strong team. We have the Millens team, 5-handed. I think we've seen them play together before. Shan Wong playing with Joan Millens and Sandra Rimstedt, and Kevin playing with his wife Cecilia. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Would I take Millens over Rosenthal? I think so. Would I take Millens over Rubenstein? I mean, this is a pretty good partnership, Vince and Jenny. Easy answer. Joan can be a little bit random. Like, if she's having a good day, she'll do really well. But, or like, she'll play fine. But if she's having a bad day, which there's really no control over this, then you could just be 100 in the hole. Like, I think Andrew Rosenthal is a much more stable sponsor than Millens or Rubenstein, for example. I think Rubenstein can get a little bit emotional as well. All right, I guess I'm going to say Millens would be my choice out of those 3 teams. Are there other strong teams in this event? I'm just taking a look at seeding points. Crystal Henner and Uday Ivatare Bronia and Steve Garner, Kristen Ansgaard and Adam Woldowski. They have some good players, but I don't think they're the same quality of team. We have this team. Looks like a sponsored team. I guess they just threw together a bit of a roster. I know that Michael, Debbie, and Amber Lynn frequently play together because Kevin and Amber are together, life partners. I don't know that much about some of the other players on the team. I mean, I'm somewhat familiar with Arena, but I don't think as strong of a player as some of the other top teams. Oh, we have the Dinkin team, which, I mean, I don't think I can ever give the Dinkin team serious consideration for doing well. But they also did, I mean, Sam Dinkin did really well in the recent Vanderbilt. So maybe I shouldn't brush him off so quickly. Playing with Yoko again. I guess they had finished their partnership for a while. Adam and Emma playing together, and Reddu and Raluca playing together. Also don't think that that team has much of a chance of winning. So I guess I'll pick the Millens team. I mean, if I had to choose a second team, I would say Rosenthal. But there's only one team that wins that event, so it's probably going to be one of those 2. Seniors. So let me try and sort mentally by seeding points. Wolfson is in first. Four-handed, but they have a sponsor. Looks like a pretty strong team. Berkowitz and Cohen. I mean, even though Larry's been basically retired for a while, they played a lot in the past. Who else have we got? We have Lull. Lull and Milner, Mahmood and Levin, Wold and Rodwell. I mean, this is a really strong team. I'm taking a look at the Wolfson squad. I think I have to give it to Lull here. Goodman. I mean, they could win. Compton also could win. We have a Bramley team. There's the trifecta, Bramley, Woolsey, and Stewart playing together again. I think I'm going to pick Lull for the seniors. Lull did win in Argentina. They won what? Oh, they won in Buenos Aires the World Championships. Yeah. I mean, the U.S. has a lot of good teams. So, yeah, I do think that this is a roster that I would prefer to take over any of the other ones. But Wolfson could win. I mean, they're four-handed, which is tough, and Wolfson will have already played the Opens. So you don't really want to be playing that much bridge, I don't think, as the sponsor. Or just in general. No good teams in the Open, though. Is that really what we learned today? So those are my picks for the USBCs. Okay. It's 5:45. So I have to, at some point this evening, one of the people I'm living with is having like a little birthday dinner. So I'm going to have to join for that. But for now, so we're done with the bridge part of the stream. If you are interested in supporting more coverage of the event, because currently we have I was only planning to do the Opens. I guess what I should do, let's go back to this, and I will show the schedule once again. So here's the schedule. This little donation bar, if you want, you can just donate through the Streamlabs link, which is below the stream, or you can type !USBC, and that'll pop up a little thing that you can click the link. It goes through PayPal, so should be relatively accessible for most people. That will get more coverage of the event. I'm going to leave this open until we run out of days. I'm going to cover all of USA 1 for the Open, which goes Thursday, April 24th through Thursday, May 1st. And then for every subsequent day that there is coverage, which is May 2nd through May 26th, minus May 6th, which is a day off, for every $100 raised, I will do another day of coverage. So if people just want to donate $400 to see the final of USA 2, we'll probably do that. And then we can just skip the mixed and the seniors. If people want to see all of it, or, you know, however much people want to donate for, then we will get extra days included. So I'm not going to like rearrange anything though. So if people are like, oh, well, we raised like $600, can we just do the finals of every event? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do continuous throughout, and then we'll just cut it off if people don't want to see more, basically if the donations don't come in. But I will leave it open during the USA 1 open thing.